scenario of its destruction, urging Iran to agree to a ceasefire deal before it's too late. 100 experts in international law have warned of serious violations by the US, Israel, and Iran in the war in the Middle East. And they say the initial attack was a clear breach of the UN Charter and also highlight the alarming language used by US officials, including President Trump. The experts also condemn Iran's actions both against its own people and civilians across the Middle East. The White House said the US campaign was making the region safer. Well, for more, let's speak with Brody, international war crimes prosecutor and a member of the International Commission of Jurists. Reid, let's start with the United States then. What should we understand about these war crimes concerns?
Well, this letter reflects the overwhelming opinion of legal experts around the world. It would be hard to find a serious independent authority who would argue that this war is legal. Look, whatever one thinks of the theocratic dictatorship in Iran, these attacks are a clear violation of the foundational principle of the post-war legal order. You can't just go around attacking other countries. I mean, the UN Charter is not ambiguous. It prohibits the use of force against another state. And there are only two exceptions: if there's a Security Council authorization, or if the country is acting in self-defense in response to an actual or imminent armed attack. And there's no plausible argument here that an Iranian attack on U.S. or on Israel was imminent. I mean, President Trump even said last year that he had obliterated Iran's nuclear program. So President Trump here has presumptively committed the international crime of aggression, just as he did in Venezuela, just as President Putin did in Ukraine. And the Council of Europe has even established a special tribunal to prosecute Russian leaders for that crime.
And the president has also come under fire, President Trump I'm talking about, for the language that he's using.
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, the beyond the illegality of the war itself, the experts have talked about the way the war is being fought. You know, the main law in warfare, the cornerstone of the Geneva Conventions, is that you can only attack military targets, not civilians and civilian targets. So for President Trump to warn that he would bomb the country back to the Stone Age, you know, is particularly appalling, since it basically threatens a massive war crime. And it also repudiates the claim that the United States is fighting the Iranian regime. I mean, it implies that we're fighting a war against the Iranian people. And what we've seen over and over is in the conduct of the strikes is that they've been hitting schools, health facilities, homes. You know, according to the Iranian Red Crescent, there have been almost 500 attacks on schools, over 230 attacks on health facilities. I mean, the attack on the girls' school in Minab on the very first day of the war is the starkest example. I mean, this is a strike that violates international humanitarian law. And if those responsible are found to have been reckless in carrying out that strike, reckless as to the disregard of the fact that civilians were there, this could be a war crime.
And Reid, the White House has said that the U.S. campaign was making the region safer. I want to get your thoughts on Iran, but first just quickly on Israel and their activities in Lebanon, also raising concerns.
I mean, obviously, Israel is taking advantage of this to massively to attack civilian sites, to massively displace whole portions of the civilian population. And while everybody's focused on Iran, Israel is carrying out war crimes and illegal activities in not just in southern Lebanon, but as far as Beirut.
And if we talk about Iran, then not just how it's treating its civilian population, which we saw when it cracked down on those protests, concerns, but also, how it's launching strikes around the region and hitting civilian targets.
Well, right. I mean, this legal analysis applies to all parties. So having been attacked, Iran has the right of self-defense under the UN Charter. But that right is not unlimited. It's constrained by first of all, by the criteria of necessity and proportionality, and by the rule that you can't attack civilians. And Iran's use of force against Gulf states seems to go well beyond these limits. First of all, these countries had not, as far as we can tell, permitted the US or Israel to use their territories to attack Iran. So Iran's attack on these territories to begin with is questionable. But second, Iran is plainly targeting civilian infrastructure in these countries, airports, plants, and to inflict economic harm on them and the wider world. And that's not defensive in character. That constitutes its own illegal armed attack. And we've seen, I mean, Iranian forces have attacked at least 2 civilian commercial vessels in and around the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, deliberately targeting civilian ships and their crew is a war crime. I mean, there are no exceptions, not for the U.S., not for Israel, but not for Iran either.
Yeah, they each have a long list. Thanks very much, Reed. We'll leave it there for now. Reed Brody, International War Crimes Prosecutor and a member of the International Commission of Jurists.